Starting lineups for the Calgary Inferno. In goal, number 41, Annie Balaji. At defense, number 21, Holly Kruzaniak. And number 4, Bridget Lequette. At forward for the Inferno, number 40, Blair Turnbull. Number 16, Rebecca Leslie. And number 19, Brianne Jenner. Head coach for the Inferno is Ryan Hilderman, assisted by Mandy Duhamel and Becky McGee. Starting lineup for the Toronto Furies. In goal, number 35, Shay Tilley. At defense, number 14, Renita Fast. And number 25, Emma Greco. At forward for the Furies, number 16, Sarah Nurse. Number 10, Shannon Stewart. And number 24, Natalie Spooner. Head coach is Courtney Kessel, assisted by Peter Ainsworth and PJ Michael. Here to help us celebrate and drop the puck for this evening's ceremonial face-off is captain of the gold medal winning team's Alberta U18 female team from the 1991 Canada Winter Games, Valerie Gill. And she's also joined by Nora. As you may know, the 2019 Canada Winter Games will be held in Red Deer. The Mitts for Mini program is a legacy left behind by the whole 2019 team of athletes. Please bring a pair of new or gently used mitts to place in our donation bin during the 2019 games. The donation bin will be located here at the Gary W. Harris Canada Winter Games Center. To start off this great program, both the Toronto Furies and the Calgary Inferno will be donating a pair of team mitts, which will be accepted by Valerie. Would Natalie Spooner of the Toronto Furies and Rebecca Johnston, captain of your Calgary Inferno, please skate to center ice and join in tonight's ceremonial face-off. And the CWHL would also like to welcome Rosine Sabetti-Sidel to the ice. Rosine won the Experience the Dream contest and gets to share the ice tonight with the Calgary Inferno. Congratulations, Rosine. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, would you please rise and remove your hats and join Libby Clark in the singing of the National Anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Well, hello, hockey fans. This is Sammy Jo Small. I'm joined by my partner, Katrina Gallus, for tonight's game. We will not be doing play-by-play for you guys, as we absolutely have no idea how to do that. But we are excited to be with you guys tonight to showcase an amazing game between the Toronto Furies and the Calgary Inferno. I'll let my partner in crime introduce herself.
Thanks, Sammy Joe. Katrina Gallus here, and really excited to be here in Red Deer for the first time after traveling up from Calgary just this afternoon.
It was a long day, wasn't it?
Long day,
yes.
And from Toronto this morning. So yeah, we made it. We're here. The game is about to begin, and what a beautiful venue this is. A new venue here for Red Deer at Red Deer College, Canada Game Centre, Jerry W. Harris Rink.
Mm-hmm. It is it's amazing what they, when Canada Games comes to a city, what kind of infrastructure gets built. And this is nice and bright and huge, and there's a gym attached to this. There's another rink. Was there a pool too?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know, the wheelchair basketball event was going on right next to us, which was great to see. A test event for Red Deer Canada Games in February.
And I'm sure they can use this hockey game as well as a test event to really showcase to the local Red Deer people just what exciting hockey will be coming here in February for Canada Games.
Absolutely. Even from a volunteer and media perspective, one of the guys downstairs in the lobby was saying that after the Vancouver Olympics, he moved here to Red Deer, and when he heard that the Canada Games were coming here, he didn't want to move. He wanted to wait.
That's amazing. It looks like we have our first penalty of the game being called, and it goes to Emma Greco. I think one of the Calgary Inferno players just got caught up with her down in our zone. This will be really our first test. The Calgary Inferno power play, I know from having watched them in the past, is incredibly potent. Every one of their players is either a former national team player or a current national team player. Johnson certainly can work magic down in the corner on this side too, so watch for her. I feel like we're just sitting on the couch at home watching a game right here.
Yeah, but we can hear it, which is great. There's the whole rink here is mic'd, which is really, really great. That's another dynamic.
Good first start for the Furies, just to be able to get the puck out of the zone against this great Inferno power play. I wonder how they're doing post coaching change, if they've changed their power play at all. Nice save by Tylee. I might be a little biased when it comes to goaltending. I might just, the entire time, it's funny when I watch with my husband, he is always commenting about what a great shot it is, and I am always commenting about the two goaltenders. So I will apologize in advance. Feel free to correct us on any miscommunication that we might put forth. I know the likes, we have some super fans out there. Maybe Trevor Down can let us know if we get some of the historical data wrong. Always nice to hear from our fans. So feel free to tweet us with some questions. It looks like that looked like a little bit of a check from behind. I'm not sure if she's going to call that or just maybe a roughing play, but it means even up for the Furies, so we got out of that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, here we go. So as Sammy mentioned, on Twitter at CWHL Toronto, if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer during the duration of the game.
We're doing our first ever podcast while a live game is going on. So maybe this is the future of hockey podcasting. Tylee got a little lucky there as the Inferno player was coming around. She had her stick in the right position, but it just kind of ramped up her stick, and luckily it didn't ramp right to one of their players. I would prefer that her stick be closer to the goal line when the player is coming around down below the goal line, just in case something like that does happen. Not that I'm the goalie coach.
Good tip there.
At all.
Good tip there, especially for a center like me.
Brittany Howard is really exciting to watch. She's always creating something out there, and I never know where her body parts are going. And I don't think the defenders do either. She's really difficult to contain as she's coming down the ice. It's hard to look at my Twitter and figure out what's going on the ice at the same time. Looks like the Inferno are still keeping some great puck possession. Great save by Decker, but more incredibly, a great pass by Johnston from behind the net. I really like watching Johnston and Decker together. They just seem to know where each other are. It's too bad they play for opposing countries. Was that a missed call maybe from the referee?
I think it might have been.
We are the Furies broadcast, so we'll say that it worked in our favor that time, perhaps. So it should be noted, too, that this game actually is an entire day that Hockey Alberta has hosted out here. So the Inferno have been out here since noon running clinics for young girls here in Red Deer, trying to promote not only their game, but hockey in general, female hockey in general. So not only has our day been probably a long day, but I know for those girls having been on the ice pretty much the whole day teaching and being engaged with children, that it can be long at times.
Yeah, it's a great outreach game to get into the community here outside of their home city of Calgary. And I know that there have been a couple of busloads of players that have come in to watch, not participate today, but watch tonight as well.
You can see the teams and the jerseys, and maybe being in Red Deer, some might cheer for the Furies down there. Let's see if we see any Toronto colors. I see a New York Islanders jersey down there. Which maybe alludes to Jennifer Botterill, who played for the Toronto Furies and now is doing broadcast for the New York Islanders. So maybe he's cheering for us as well.
I think so. A few guests in from Manitoba as well, I hear.
Yes, I think there's some. Bridget Lequette's family drove this morning, indicated to her that they were going to make the drive from Winnipeg, which is not an easy or close drive to make, but they made it in time just for the game and cheering on their Manitoban in the game. There's actually 2 Manitobans on the Calgary Inferno. I know that being from Winnipeg, Bridget and Hallie Krasaniak. That's Sarah Nurse. I know that a ton of penalties this year have been called trying to contain her, and she has such speed coming down the wing. I think that every team is trying to get to her before she gets any speed out there. You'll notice on the ice we have number 44 out there. Jenna Dingledine is here with us for the weekend. She's been called up from our extended roster. Great to see her back out. She has one of the best shots in women's hockey. Look to her to potentially rip one from the slot. I guess this is really our first look at our power play. It's funny being up here because you get to see everything start from the start to the finish.
Yeah, and it's a great view too. It's quite a nice broadcast box up here above the rink. You get a full view of the entire rink, which we haven't always had this season.
I want to tell so many great stories, but I feel like this is our opportunity for the Furies to get some actual shots down on their goalie. So you'll notice that Alex Rigsby is not here this weekend. She's actually gone home for the weekend to prepare for Team USA camp, which is starting, I believe, on Monday. So Annie Balaji is starting for the Inferno. However, she did play against us already twice this year. Quite a strong goaltender. You'll notice she's a tall, big goaltender, covers a lot of the net. I liked watching her. She made the saves that she was supposed to make. But I think if we can get her moving a little bit, we could potentially put one in, get some couple nice passes together, and get some. I think we need some net front presence out there so that she can't get her eyes on the puck.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Didn't we just say that that's what they're supposed to do? Move the puck, get some rebounds, make the goalie move. Yeah, exactly. Who was that in the end that put that in? Dark Angelo in front of the net?
I think so, yeah. It was just to the right of the goaltender.
She seemed to come first through the line, which is tradition when you do score. I think Howard is the most excited on the bench for her right now, jumping up and down. Dark Angelo really has been playing amazing for the Furies, and as a former American national team player, She came up to play for the Toronto Furies and has been a real, a great addition for the team, providing not only some offense, but some strength and just really rounding out that second line nicely. So what's been your favorite part about coming to the Toronto Farriers? Maybe you can tell everybody what you do with our team and what your role is and maybe why you got involved with our team.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I've played hockey for quite a while myself, and when I finished my own hockey career, I played at Queen's University, and the CWHL didn't exist back then, so this was never an option for me. I continued playing the game and still do today, but this was a way to stay a little more deeply involved in the future of women's professional hockey in this country, as well as helping to advance women's sport. And I think this league has done phenomenal things over the years and continues to push forward in different ways. I think one of those ways is here today with the live streaming that we're doing for all of our games this season, and it really helps to give some really great exposure to the teams and to the players and to the caliber out on the ice, and also gives the team a bit of a platform to illuminate the players as well and give a little bit more insight into them and their skill level.
I think it's been a huge addition for us. I know for myself as the general manager, it's been a huge help, so thank you, but also just to see the perspective from the business side of what is required for us in women's hockey to do to get it to the next level. I think often in women's hockey, we complain that we don't have the salaries the men have, we don't play in front of the crowds that the men have, but ultimately it's really up to us, and it's up to us to make that difference, and we're trying to with the Toronto Furies day in and day out by bringing things like this live streaming service to our fans so that we can start to really build that fan base and a dedicated, loyal fan base that will come to our games, game in and game out. I did get one question on Twitter about Jenna Dingledine's name bar, why it's not there. We'll just watch Nurse come down and potentially put one in here. Oh, nice. That's a rarity that Sarah Nurse will put it through a goalie's legs. Often she will go over a shoulder or low blocker side. I have rarely seen her shoot right 5-hole, but it just snuck right through there. That was a 2-on-1 with Jenna, wasn't it, Dingeldine?
It was,
so
yeah.
The answer to the reason why she doesn't have a name bar is we were at a game in Boston, and we could not find Julia Fedeschi's jersey, and she wears number 4. And so for that particular game, Julia Fedeschi had to put on one of the extra jerseys, which was Jenna's. And then when we called her up, we realized that we didn't have the name bar anymore. And so we've ordered her a new name bar. She will be getting soon, but it was not here in time for the Calgary weekend. So maybe she goes incognito today. That's why that 2-on-1 worked, is nobody knew she was there.
I think you need a Joe Bowen call, Sammy Joe.
I do. What does Dave Bedini do? What does he do something really cool? I mean, he's such a cool guy. I can't really compare with that. I need something like more nerdy, like what I would do. I don't know. Like, whoa, what a goal.
Yeah, a strong start here for the Furies, up 2-0 with 11:36 to go in the first.
Decker has won every face-off so far that she's taken. She's won a couple back, and she just won that one forward. Be really interesting to be in a face-off with her to see what she does differently. I'm always curious. Did you ever play center?
Yeah, no, and it's funny you say that, because I've played center for most of my hockey career, and I find that in the leagues now that there's less tolerance from a timing standpoint, how quickly you need to get in the circle. And
great save by Shea. I love that she tracked that puck side to side, saw it the whole way, and that is not just a testament to her as a goaltender, but the two defensemen that were out there, Greco and Fast, allowing her to be able to see that puck. Of course, I'm going to tell you from the goaltender's perspective, but we can get back to taking a face-off here.
Yeah, it's all about timing, though, and anticipating that puck drop and really positioning yourself to be able to...
Is it easier if you're a smaller player? I noticed that Darkangelo, a tall player, just won that one there.
I think it's more about the coordination and timing and anticipation, which comes with practice, I guess. But I'm sure if you know how to use your size to your advantage, that's helpful as well. Size and strength, I should say.
And hand-eye coordination, or eye-hand coordination, depending on where you live in this country. People do say it differently. Growing up in a family of optometrists, it was always eye-hand coordination because they always said the eyes were more important. So I guess it just depends on what you deem to be more important.
Yeah, it depends on what side of the rink you're on, too. And if it's a strong side, you might pull it back more strongly and more consistently than the other side.
Bridget Laquette just has amazing hands. I always wonder why she doesn't rush the puck more, and maybe that was the old Inferno style, but she really can go end to end and just create chances out there. And she always looks like she is not really putting in a full effort when she is. Like, she makes the game look so easy. I'm always so impressed whenever I watch her play.
Yeah, there's a pretty clean shot right on the goalie there.
That's a tough one. The ones that bounce almost right in front of you, tough to play as a goaltender.
Here we go. 3-on-2 for the Furies.
So Shannon Stewart, who's just coming off the ice now, was just put on the line with Sarah Nurse and Spooner last weekend to play against Boston. And normally a third or fourth line player, she scored her first goal last year, despite it being her second year with the Furies. And had a couple great chances. I think had an assist as well, and just had a really dynamic game. So it looks like they have tried to keep that pairing together. And I mean, Sarah and Natalie can do so much themselves. They just need really somebody that's going to grit it out and grind it out and get them the puck, and at times just be a decoy. And that's what Stewart did just amazingly last weekend.
Yeah, decoy and keep up with their speed, too, because they've got so much of it, and they move around so well.
Yeah, and she's quick, and she can get in front of the net, and she's a selfless player who doesn't mind going into sort of the dirty zones and making things happen. And, yeah, she's a great addition to that line.
Another face-off win for Darkangelo. And a rolling puck. You like those ones too, Sammy Jo?
Well, that kind of rolling puck's not too bad. I probably would not have put my hand flat right over the puck as it's coming at me. I maybe would have had my stick behind it or my glove behind it. I always like the double stop, just in case. Yeah. But Balaji seemed pretty confident with that, and ultimately it's about the goalie's confidence, and she knows she's going to make that save. She likely will. Platt doing some good forechecking down low. So there's two sets of sisters on this Inferno team. I'm sure most people know that, the Hickles and the Murrays. The Murray sisters, actually, when they were quite tiny, I think Eden was maybe 4 or 5 years of age and her sister was a little bit older, they came to my hockey school in Winnipeg, and they come from a very famous Murray family in Manitoba, their uncle, who coached Canada's Olympic team. And so they were in visiting, came to my hockey school, and we had to alter her jersey, Eden Murray's, because she was so tiny. She was only 4 years of age. And already you could tell that they were a serious family when it came to hockey. They had come from the Shattuck St. Mary's Hockey School on their way to my hockey school, and I mean, these were just young girls, but you could just see that they were going to be amazing hockey players. Tylee's calmness is something that I think our defense really respect and really admire. She never seems to get herself too far out of position and never seems to be flaring out there. So it's always nice when you have a calm goaltender behind you and you feel like you can, exactly, you feel like you can play your game, not have to pounce all over the place.
So how is it to have so many goalies on the ice at once at your hockey school?
So the hockey school in Winnipeg is actually all players. We just have a couple goalies, but at my goalie school in Oakville, we have 60 girl goalies that come out each year, all ages from probably about 6 to 16, 17. And there's, you know, I always say that we as goaltenders are a little bit of outliers. So you get some of the girls that are, you know, down the middle, fairly normal, but then you get some that are super outgoing and you get some that are super quiet. But really, it's really exciting for them to meet other kids like them. I mean, people are attracted to goaltending for a reason, and it's fun that they get to meet friends for life. That often you don't get to talk to the other goalies when you're playing against them. Oh, that was a great pass. Once again, Johnston just has the ability to see the open ice on through the Furies defense.
Go back to our instant replay here.
Yeah. So you guys back home can't see the instant replay, but we can actually watch it because it's a tape delay by about 5 seconds. And Bellamy just looked like she really wasn't picked up by any one of our forwards. Would you say that was a forward that should have had her up there, right? The defenseman kind of followed Johnston around the net.
Yeah, but no one tracked her pass because it came almost through the crease and the whole right side of the net was quite wide open.
Sometimes that's hard too as a goaltender. You reach for that pass and then it exposes the other side of the net.
So at that young age, all of the youth that come out to your camps, what is it that really interests them in becoming a goalie?
Well, I think we all come to it for different reasons. I loved the look of the equipment. I think often that will be one thing. Sometimes, I mean, women of a certain generation, a lot of us were put in net because we had older brothers. So you find a lot of goaltenders of that age. But some are attracted to it because it's an individual sport within a team sport. So you get to be relatively solitary. And people like that. I like the fact that I didn't have to necessarily rely on others. I just want to make sure that we get it out of our zone here. But yeah, I think everybody's attracted to it for a little bit slightly different reason, but we all have gone through the same things in minor hockey where we've played for coaches that maybe don't know much about goaltending. We've had to kind of figure it out on our own. Some are very fortunate. Shay Tylee was telling me the other day that growing up in Owen Sound, she didn't really have much access to goaltending instruction. And the first time that she really got some goaltending instruction was with the national team. And so that really exposed her to the different techniques. But up until then, she had, you watch it on TV, you watch other goaltenders, you just basically try to stop the puck with your athleticism. And you can see just how athletic she is. But luckily, she joined the national team at the U18 level, so she got to get some instruction. But depending on where you live in this country, it's hard to come by.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just knowing what to think about in certain situations that can really take your game to the next level. But yeah, a lot of young players I've met that do have aspirations to be goalies. It's funny, they very strongly only want to be a goalie.
People always ask me, what's going to make a great goaltender when they see a young minor hockey goaltender? And I really, truly believe that it's the ability to deal with failure. And you can see that in a young age if a child is okay with letting a goal in. I mean, you don't have to always be okay with it, but I think you have to have the ability to move on to the next puck because it's going to happen so many times in her lifetime. I just noticed Brittany Howard running into the net there. That's not abnormal for Brittany Howard to end up in positions like that. She goes hard, she skates hard, and like I said before, you never know where her limbs are going to end up.
So 3:15 left here in the first period.
Shots seem relatively even. They're about
Yeah.
10-7 for the Inferno. I think what we've done really well is capitalize on our chances. We really haven't had too many other great scoring opportunities, whereas the Inferno shots have been, Shea Tiley has had to be in position and make some good saves.
So just a reminder to everyone out there to follow along.
Oh, shot off the post. Who was that? Hallie Krasaniak. Hallie has a very deceptive shot.
Diagonally, right off
Yeah.
the post, too.
Yeah, I don't think Shea saw that at all.
Nope. Didn't look like it. But
I'm
yeah,
just going to check my Twitter. You keep talking.
yeah,
I'm going to see if we have any questions
remember
here.
to follow along on Twitter at CWHL Toronto, as well as Facebook and Instagram at Toronto Furies. And if you are looking for the live stream, you can go to the Toronto Furies website, toronto.thecwhl.com/watchlive, and click play and join us here tonight. Furies clear it out here, down into the Inferno end.
I just got a text message from our strength and conditioning coach, Jacqueline Gradish, that our food has arrived. Games like this are always tough on the road because you finish at such a late hour and have to hop on a bus. But we rely on people like Jacqueline to be able to order. And we ordered tonight from Freshie. If anybody has any recommendations in the future from where we should order from, feel free to throw those out. Furies are always looking for some healthy, good food that they can eat post-game. Luckily in Toronto, we are very fortunate to have the Boston Pizza at the Queensway. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
That has been supplying us with food post-game there. But on the road, we don't really know the areas. So tomorrow in Calgary, if anybody has any recommendations, we would love to have some good, healthy food recommendations for post-game.
Yeah, and then speaking of Calgary, early game tomorrow morning, 10:30
Yeah,
a.m.
that's going to be a really tough second day, especially after leaving this morning. Most of these girls left their houses at about 6 in the morning. We're playing at 9 o'clock here Toronto time, so this is a long day for them. There isn't much turnaround time. We're hopping on a bus. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours back to Red Deer, depending on traffic and temperature. That's why we'll have food on the bus, so we don't have to stop for an extra restaurant stop. But then tomorrow morning we'll be at the rink at 8:30.
Not to mention the time difference, that always plays a role.
And the altitude too. The altitude just, not only does it combine with fatigue, but also dehydration as well. So the girls have to really be cognizant of making sure they drink enough water and are really staying healthy during these trips, because it is quick and there's a lot of action going on. And our team has been depleted in these last couple weeks. We've had some injuries that are not hockey related. We've had a bunch of car accidents this year with our team. So it's really been unfortunate, but we're fortunate that all the players are okay, but some are out of the lineup. So Anissa Gamble is out of the lineup. Brittany Howard was hit, T-boned, but she's okay. She's back in our lineup. She only missed one game. Great defensive play by Dingledine. Sending it to Spooner, and it's the end of the period. I did not even look up to see that was at the end of the period.
I don't think she did either.
Shoot,
She
that had my heart racing.
Yeah.
That was a great defensive play, though. That was a
Beautiful pass.
looked like a 3-on-1 by the Inferno in our zone, and they didn't even get a shot off. So, well, that's great for the Furies. We ended up with a 2-1 lead going into the second period here, and what a way to start. We've been notoriously slow starting the game. Our first period is not generally our strength, so let's see if this changes the tides a little bit for the Furies.
Yeah, I think Courtney will be happy with that start.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how can you not be going up 2-0 right away? And I mean, the goal they scored was a great goal. You can't fault Shea Tiley at all. And yeah, playing against one of the top teams in women's hockey right now, the Calgary Inferno, to be leading at any point in the game is something really special. So take this as a feather in their cap for right now.
Yeah, and a great point to build upon for period number 2.
So now that we're sitting up in the press box up here, do you have to go to the bathroom or get some food or anything? There's some great poutine down there. If you do, I can talk. I can talk for a long time. If you want to go find somebody that we can maybe interview.
I think we might have a guest coming at some point during the game, so I might just go figure out when that will be. And
I can tell some stories while the little, looks like little tykes go on the ice. Oh, they look so adorable. 5- and 6-year-olds probably out there.
And a goal, 2 goalies.
2 goalies in full gear, that the pads are bigger than they are. I love it.
What are the chances your Kenzie will become a goalie?
So we do have a 3-year-old daughter, my husband and I. My husband, Billy Bridges, who plays for Canada's sledge hockey team. And, you know, when I see little kids like this, I am just so excited about the future of women's hockey. And people ask me, you know, has she started skating? And, I mean, she certainly is around an arena a lot. The one thing with Kenzie that is hard is that whenever mom and dad go on the road, we initially were saying we were going to play hockey, and so hockey takes her parents away. And initially, she didn't want to play hockey. She hated hockey because it was taking mom and dad away from the house. But slowly, we started to say that we're going to work out, or we're going to work instead of going to hockey. So that's changed her perspective a little bit. She also now, at 3 years of age, I think can understand a little bit more what is going on in the game. She knows that mommy plays for the blue team and daddy plays for the red team. However, we were just at the Para Hockey Cup in London last week watching my husband play against the Americans, and the Americans were blue and daddy was red. And so that was really confusing because we watched the entire game, and then at the end she said, "Is daddy on the blue team?" So, yeah, I think I've thrown her off a little bit. So we need to start saying the Canadian team and the Furies. So should we pretend like the black team is the Furies and the red team is the Inferno? And see who comes out victorious.
I like that idea. I'm curious, is this the new format for youth hockey now? It's reduced size of the rink?
And so I'm not sure if they I would assume that 2 games would go on at the same time. I actually haven't seen youth hockey at this level, but I was part of Hockey Canada's board a couple years back when some of these decisions were starting to be talked about. And I think that ideally you could have 3 games going on across here. More kids are playing, more puck touches. I mean, I grew up playing on the shinny rinks in Winnipeg, and this is what it's like. I mean, you just kind of throw the puck out there, and the beauty of shinny hockey is that all ages can play together, and everybody gets to touch the puck, and everybody is exposed to the game, and that's what this looks like too. It's a free-for-all, which is the way hockey should be.
Yeah, well, and maybe now's a good time to give a small shout-out to where I learned how to play hockey, the Swansea Girls Hockey League, and we played on an outdoor rink in the sometimes frigid winters and having to wear the hot pads in our inside our skates and inside our gloves, and really, you know, you really learn to love the game when it's that cold outside.
You certainly do. Well, if you can imagine Winnipeg in -40, that was
right.
Ourselves growing up. And you were never cold when you're on the rink. You're only cold when you came back in. Parents on our teams had all these different ideas of how you could keep the kids' feet warm. At one point, it was pepper in your skates.
Pepper.
Which I guess because it heats up things. I don't know. But it never seemed to work. Baby powder was another one. We did try the Hot Pockets, but they then get really hard in your skates.
You gotta switch them out.
Yeah, so that's tough.
Yeah, we actually had some days where we'd have to go off the ice for our shifts and actually go inside the dressing room to warm up and then come back out for our shift. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Sort of like Miracle.
Yeah.
Isn't that the movie that they go up to Alaska? Or is it Miracle that they go to the Olympics?
I think that one they go
Mystery
to
Alaska is the one they go up to. The New York Rangers go up to play the team from Alaska, and they are frigid up there and very cold.
Yeah, well, even for the NHL outdoor games, you see them with all of their extra hats under their helmets, and really not used to that type of temperature and how it impacts your ability to warm up and stay warm when you're on the bench.
Right. Well, we have our first suggestion for post Calgary, and it comes from our big fan Trevor Down, who says that he's not sure or not if Chipotle is healthy, but it is very healthy. That would be Caroline Prevo's favorite meal, of course. She is always on Instagram tweeting about that. I guess you don't tweet on Instagram. Gramming about that, taking pictures about that. I'm showing my age right now. Yeah. But yeah, that's a great suggestion. I don't know if they have them in Calgary.
I think so. I know that they have been growing in Canada, so I can imagine that Calgary is one of those places.
We don't have one in Winnipeg yet.
Okay.
And so not to say that it should be in Winnipeg, but I don't know if it's made its way out west. Do they have it in Vancouver? I know you lived in Vancouver for a long time.
Yeah, I did. I think so. I mean, I haven't been out in about a year now, so it could very well be there. I know there's quite a few in Toronto that are all over the city. But there's lots of new options when you walk down any street these days.
Right.
Restaurants popping up and food trucks too. Do we have a winner here?
I missed the score of the game. Were you paying attention to the final score?
The red team definitely won.
Okay, well, so that will not be the way this game will go for us. Yeah, they took the they might have taken the first intermission game, but the Furies are going to take the actual game. So,
but they looked like they had fun, and you know, at that age, that is really the most important thing, is to make sure that there's smiles on their faces when they leave the ice and want to come back again tomorrow.
So it looks like I'm getting chirped a little bit for not knowing my movies, but also I'm having a tough time loading my Instagram up here with the internet. I didn't.
Let me give it a try.
I didn't actually log into the Wi-Fi that is here. Oh, and we have a little note from our teammate Anissa Gamble watching in New Brunswick.
Oh, hi, Anissa.
She lied and said that we are crushing the play-by-play. So thank you, Anissa. We know that's not truthful, but we appreciate that everybody's listening to our podcast format. This is, I mean, a lot of fun for us. We contemplated whether just dead air was better than two random girls talking hockey, but we thought it'd be fun. So if you don't like it, you can put us on mute. That's okay. We don't mind. We will not be insulted. This live streaming that the Furies have brought to you guys is something that we've been working at for a couple weeks now, really thanks to you. So thank you for getting this in order. SportsCanada.TV has been great, really providing us with this service. And we started at our rink at the MasterCard Center, and it was a process. So I think learning the back end of streaming, of putting something on live, is you realize just how much of a process it is. And simply even getting the internet at the MasterCard Center, which is a public Wi-Fi, was difficult. All the little steps that it took, and then we were very fortunate to get somebody like Dave Bedini come on as a volunteer his services to do play-by-play, and somebody like him who is so prolific as an author, as a musician, so many followers, and we are so thankful to have somebody like him. Unfortunately, he's not here in Red Deer, so
but he'll be back in 2019, and you know, just he loves the game, and he's done such a great job jumping into this and really illuminating what's happening on the ice for all the viewers, and it's not an easy task. I mean, a lot of people...
Yeah. Well, and Nico has really helped him. Yep. I don't know how to say Nico's last name. Apologize.
Cardarelli.
There we go. Nico, shout out.
Nico.
So Nico has done our games for years, and the great thing about Nico working with Dave is he really knows the players, and he knows what players are supposed to do and what they've done in the past, and he knows the historical context. And what Dave does so well, and what I texted him right after the first game of listening to him, was he brought in a different language to play-by-play that I had never seen, which was really interesting, and kind of changes the dynamic up a little bit. And I loved his language. I loved his verbiage that he used when he was calling the game. It was almost like watching and not that he's a soccer announcer at all, but watching somebody from a different sport come to our sport. I think because of his music background, and that was really neat to see. So we are very fortunate to have somebody like him doing this, and to be able to have the live feed for you guys. So when we decided that we were going to bring it out here to Red Deer in Calgary, it was really in the interest of sharing with the CWHL and allowing other teams to also have access to this, well, not this amazing play-by-play, but to the live feed, so that we can share it with their fans as well.
Yeah, and just give more exposure to the game and increase the visibility of women's hockey in this country. And I think that, you know, it sounds simple, but Sammy Jo, as you mentioned, there's so many logistical pieces that have to come together to make this seamless. And you know, I've had the pleasure of working with SportsCanada.TV before, both with Canada Games as mission staff, and all the great work that they did in Winnipeg and Prince George, and really being the go-to source for making sure that parents at home could watch their children in their competition. And then also at the Invictus Games in Toronto, they played a huge role in helping our team to really showcase all 12 sports every single day of the games, and archive them so that if people didn't have a chance to watch them live, particularly competitors who are actually competing in the games, could actually go back and watch themselves and use it as video analysis to really see how they did and what maybe they would have done differently, or what they really did well. So, I mean, it's just such a multi-purpose tool to be able to have all of our games on video, on YouTube, available for even parents. I was sitting in the crowd when we played last Sunday, and a couple of parents were saying how great it was to be able to watch every game. And of course they can't come to every game, but they feel like they can now.
Right. And I know that we were talking about alluding to the fact that athletes can watch it. We use a program in the entire CWHL called Instat, which up until us getting live streaming, we had to have, I mean, we have an amazing volunteer, Carl Goodwin, who has videotaped every game. But it's basically him on a handheld videotaping the game, and we then send that into Instat, and they break it down for the players. Now, the difference from that and this camera has been huge, because now the coaches can really see a play develop. Carl didn't have the luxury of having all of this equipment and really being able to, you know, even have simply a booth like this. He was right in the stands. So this is really a step up for the players to then be able to see themselves and to be able to break it down with the coaches. And I know it's one of those invaluable tools that you don't really think about that happens in hockey, but all of those learning moments, we don't really have that much time together as a team. We, as the Toronto Furies, have actually stepped up our game this year and gone to 3 practices a week, one being optional because the majority of the girls have full-time jobs. So that optional practice is primarily a skills practice, and the other 2 practices are the only times that the coach get to disseminate their tactics to the players. So in that 3 hours, an hour and a half each practice, I mean, you not only have to work on your power play, your breakout, you have to work on conditioning, you have to work on everything. And so having the ability to use video is something that they then can get together with a player before practice, go over things, go over the power play unit. Maybe that person has not played on the power play. Maybe they are forechecking and it's not working, those kind of things. So this has been a great thing for us, and I think something that we are really proud to be able to bring to not only Furies fans, but to other fans as well. So we brought this feed to the Markham venue, and then this
Oakville.
is our Oakville venue, and then this is our away games, I guess, as we'll call them. So yeah, this is our first foray into being play-by-play in color.
Yeah, and from a fan perspective too, I think that being able to hear some commentary on top of a live stream really helps the fans get to know the players and the names and some of the strategies on the ice. And when it's spoken out loud, you're not only seeing what's happening, but someone is giving you the context. And for some players out there, that's also, fans out there, that's also a really useful element to more deeply engaging with them as fans and bringing them closer to the game. And of course, this league is always known for accessibility and making sure that you can bring fans closer to the players and to the game than many other leagues out there. And, you know, I think this has helped us to do that, as has our availability and willingness of our players to be available after every single game for the many, many young girls out there who want to get autographs and want every single autograph before they go home after the game.
Well, and often they will, that's the most exciting part of the game for them, is they get to meet their heroes. And what other professional sport do you get to do that every single game? And our girls are so great and so generous with their time, too, and that's really great to see. I'm really proud of our Furies girls for doing that.
Yeah, not just for a picture, but talk to them.
Yes.
And really just
answer their
interact
questions and
get to know them a little bit.
It looks like we have Kendall Newell, who has showed up to be part of our Furies broadcast. So Kendall has organized the day that we were talking about earlier. Kendall talked about your incredible day that you've been doing clinics here with Hockey Alberta. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your role with Hockey Alberta and what you guys have done here today.
Well, my role at Hockey Alberta is the manager of female hockey, so oversee our high-performance programs that will compete in the Canada Winter Games coming up, as well as oversight on minor hockey and female hockey in the province. So growing our numbers and developing our numbers and trying to create better athletes for the CWHL pool in the future.
And what do you think of this Canada Games venue for your team in the future?
You know what, it's an incredible venue. We're fortunate enough to call this home for our offices as well, and we get the opportunity to use spaces in here, not only the ice, but the high-performance gym and the track that we also have here, so it's pretty exciting.
Amazing. And has your Canada Games team been selected, or what is the process there?
We did. We announced our Canada Games team on December 5th, so we're actually having our first camp as a team together actually starting on Thursday. So we'll be here in town playing against the Red Deer Bantam AAA boys teams on Thursday evening, and then also again on Saturday as well.
So the kids are done school, I'm assuming.
Correct.
And then they get to stay with you guys for a week. Is that how long they're with you?
We're only with them for 3 days.
Okay,
just a quick short trip, and then we'll get them a chance to be together again at pre-competition right before the Canada Games in February.
And did you attend the Canada Games?
I have not, no.
No, this is your first one.
This will be my first one.
And
I'm pretty
local.
excited. Yes.
It is life transforming. I know both Katrina and I were talking about it. I competed in the 1991 Canada Games.
Awesome.
And that's the first time women's hockey was in the Canada Games. And for me, I didn't know what a big deal it was.
Yeah.
So playing for Team Manitoba, trying out for the team, you know, you try out for other teams, it's not that big of a deal. You get to the Canada Games and you realize all the sports are together. I mean, it was overwhelming, but I think also a real stepping stone to the next level and to eventually compete at the Olympic Games, so that when all of us and multiple athletes played in 91, Haley Wickenheiser winning it with Team Alberta, Cassie Campbell, when we got to the Olympic Games, it wasn't that different, which was really neat to see. Tell me a little bit about your partnership with the Inferno today and how that kind of came about.
So this idea kind of has come together for about the last 3 years, hosting a female hockey day event. So as you mentioned, we had player development sessions throughout the day. So the girls were on the ice. They had an off-ice multi-sport session. Plus the Inferno came in and got to share some of their experiences and share about their journey throughout hockey and where hockey has taken them. So the girls have had a pretty cool experience and a pretty cool day today. And I know that we wanted to cap it off in a special way. And I approached the CWHL through Kristen Hag and offered the opportunity to come up here and showcase our brand new venue and showcase high-class women's hockey to Central Alberta as well.
What was your favorite part about some of the moments the girls shared today?
There's so many different moments that I don't know if I can actually pinpoint one. Like, I think.
Do you remember one? I feel like sometimes they all get meshed together and you forget, right?
It's so funny.
You can make something up.
Oh yeah, no, it's just so funny how some of the little things are so exciting to them. You know, they all got toques today too, and how excited they got about toques. And
oh my gosh, you guys gave us toques,
oh.
and we got excited about toques. So I don't think that ends when you grow up.
No, it definitely doesn't.
There was free stuff when we walked in our dressing room, and there's nothing like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and just even hearing some of the girls share their experiences and seeing the girls light up and going, holy crap, they've been to the Olympics, they've done things, and to be able to come out here and cheer them on tonight and see them play in front of them and kind of be those great positive role models that they can aspire to.
Are you guys planning to do things like this in the future with the Inferno?
I would love to continue this in the future, yeah. This would be a great opportunity to kind of segue into it and maybe move this event around and do some things across the province.
Oh, amazing. So do outreaches in various different towns.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they'll compete with a venue like this.
This is a pretty special venue, definitely, especially since it's just opened in August. So not too many buildings still have a brand new shiny smell to them.
Well, we really appreciate that you included us in your day. I mean, this has been amazing for the Furies to be a part of this and to see what happens in other provinces as well. And yeah, it's been really special for us. So thank you so much. And yeah, good luck with everything in the future.
Well, thanks for being up here and showing us the best that Toronto has. Thank you.
And we have a bus contest. Oh, do you want to talk a little bit about your bus contest?
We definitely can. So one of the things that we did do is we did a promotional event where we offered out a free bus trip for 50 fans and then 50 tickets as well to the game. We got over 200 submissions for it, so like our support was overwhelming. Just a social media contest. So we do have one team that's here from Airdrie. They actually had a game, got right off the ice, got right on the bus, came right up. They're probably the rowdiest fans right down in front of us here.
I see a bunch of different teams over there. You probably know all the logos. Like there's
definitely. We've got, I know Red Deer, Midget AAA girls are in the house. They're Bantam Elite programs here. They're, assistant coach for their AAA team standing right beside us.
Somebody just tweeted that they won 7-1, got off the ice and came here.
They did win 7-1, so a big day for them.
Was that you guys?
Yep.
Good job back there.
They beat Lloydminster, and I'm sure Lloyd would not like to hear me say that, but
it happens. Sometimes you're the winner, sometimes you're the loser. You know? It just happens.
Yep. No, it's a pretty exciting day. I know we got Stettler in the house too, and Lacoka, which is Pinoca Lacombe, and several other great minor hockey associations from Central Alberta here. So
well, thank you for promoting the sport not only locally but right across the province.
Awesome.
And including us in your day.
Well, thanks for being a part of it, Sammy. We appreciate it.
No problem. We'll do our best to showcase Hockey Alberta here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. That was Kendall Newell, who works at Hockey Alberta. As we get back, get ready for the second period, it is amazing to see just so many different teams out in the stands. And as Kendall alluded to, they're not just from here in Red Deer. They've made the trek and they've made the bus trip in to watch these two teams play and really watch their heroes. I think a lot of young girls don't know the names of the big stars. They might know a Natalie Spooner. They might know a Rebecca Johnston, but they don't know the stars of the future. And watching those stars playing here today is pretty incredible, I'm sure, for them, and something that they'll remember. I know that for myself, whenever I watched, whether it was the local minor league team play or something, there was always a certain player that sparked my eye that I wanted to play exactly like, usually the goaltender. But I'm sure each one of these kids are looking at somebody who, maybe made a really great defensive play or maybe made a great pass, and that's the player that they aspire to. And this is where dreams begin, is watching the CWHL players and seeing what opportunities lay ahead of them. If you can't really see it, you can't be it. And this is an opportunity for these girls to see where their dreams can take them. So shots on goal at the end of that period were 12-7 in favor of the Inferno. And I know Katrina and I talked about it. The Inferno shots are coming from spots on the ice that are way more lethal than the Furies. The Furies just have really capitalized on their opportunities. And right at the end of that period, Natalie Spooner had a clear-cut breakaway, however, was stymied by the horn that sounded at the end of the period. So let's see if they can continue on with that. I noticed Shannon Stewart is on the line still with Nurse and Spooner. So I think Coach Courtney Kessel was impressed with how she continued her play from last weekend. Looks like Fast and Greco are starting on defense. Those two pairings, those two players have played together for quite some time this season, and the defensive coach, Peter Ainsworth, I think really likes them together. Fast is, like her namesake, has the ability to get herself back into the play and get back into situations, whereas Greco is more of a bigger, tougher player that can really take care of the front of the net. So together they make an impressive duo, and I think both make each other better when they're out there. Are we getting some questions on Twitter?
We're looking for some. I'm just scrolling through here.
It's really hard to manage social media at the same time while being on air. So to all those that do that, it's impressive. I want to give a big shout out to our social media manager, which is, her name is Alyssa, and she's actually back in Toronto right now, but anything that you see that is good on social media usually comes from her. Anything that is extra wordy and sounds like it comes from a 40-year-old is usually from me. So she's done a great job of engaging fans. She takes care of our Instagram and of our Twitter. And speaking of Instagram and Twitter, for all Furies fans out there, make sure you go out and vote for your All-Stars. It looks like Bridget Lequette, number 4 on the Calgary Inferno, is leading all All-Star voting right now, which I am very impressed with, because I just love her play and I love everything that she represents. And so that's nice to see, but there's no reason why we can't get another Furies player in there. Carolyn Prevost made mention to me that we should get behind one Furies player and really push her, like the Markham Thunder is doing with Liz Knox. And I threw it back to her and I said, who would you like to put forward as the one? Our 4 are pretty impressive. So we have Natalie Spooner, Renata Fast, Sarah Nurse, and Melissa Channel. And to get behind one of them is difficult because they're all so deserving. And so in the end, we decided we're going to promote them all equally, and we know that we have the best All-Stars.
We definitely do, and I think Prevost's probably taking some experience from the CrossFit world, where they're all very active on social media, as is she, and she's been wonderful, always helping to share the Furies posts with her followers as well.
Yeah,
There's
big shout out to Carolyn Prevost, who actually is in Dubai right now. So she's probably watching via the live stream. We do certainly miss her in our lineup. This weekend's games are her first games that she missed. She was the Iron Woman of the CWHL. So we certainly miss her in our lineup, and we're just so used to seeing her out there. But she competed in Dubai in one of the CrossFit championships out there. Came in 24th. Based on what Melissa Channel has said and her conversations with Prevost, I think she wanted to do a little bit better. But any time that I saw her, any of the video feed I saw was incredibly impressive with what she was able to do and what she was able to lift and the distances she was able to run. I know she had to swim a few times, and she doesn't like swimming much, especially in the open
ocean,
water,
yeah.
in the ocean. We haven't really seen too much of Brianne Jenner this game, but right there she just nearly had a breakaway. She's one of those players that you don't really see until you do. She's so stealthy out on the ice and gets herself into positions that nobody else thinks are thinks to cover, and yet then she ends up with the puck on her stick and in an amazing position on the ice.
That's a great comment, and speaking of that, she had made a comment earlier this week, I think, while speaking at a university about how the talent in the women's game is so high, but often it's not necessarily talked about from a media standpoint, and how can some of our media and journalists really dive deep into the hockey side of the game here in the CWHL versus, always going to the growth of the game and those types of questions. So really outspoken on that front.
The one thing that, on that same note, that I always said when I entered women's hockey in '98 for the first Olympic Games, I always thought that we in women's hockey would have made it when they started tearing us up in the newspapers, and they never really do. They never, there isn't much negative said out there, and I think that, that's a testament to the journalists wanting to do, put our best foot forward, but that just means that there's not as much out there, and not as many journalists that are really following us on a weekly basis to know if the players are having a good game. Did they have an off game? Is this how they normally play? What positions do they play? Some of our bloggers do a great job of that, and some of the reporters that do cover our game do a really great job of that. So I want to give a good shout out to Pension Plan Puppets. They're always at our game. They're always making some really smart, intelligent comments about players, as well as The Athletic as well, which has done some great deep dive coverage of our game.
maybe just on that note, a question for Twitter from us is, how can we better help the media come out and cover these games?
We're asking the Twitterverse.
We're asking the Twitterverse.
Yeah, what can
the
we
hockey
do?
Twitterverse.
What can we do as the Toronto Furies to help? Put the Furies more into the media.
Yeah, and really make it easier for people to cover the games and the players, and obviously the access is there, as we mentioned earlier. But you know, what would you like to see, and how can we help make it easier for that type of coverage to be a priority for you? And you know, is it coming out and getting on the ice with some of these players, or is it?
You're really set on your media game.
I think it would be fun.
So Katrina had this idea at the start of the year that we would get people from the media to come and play a little mini exhibition game with the Furies and just see what it's like to be out on the ice with this level of skill. Maybe intermix the teams a little bit so that some of the media did feel like they were overpowered, but then really get to know them on a different level as well. When you're sitting beside somebody on the bench, or you're playing in the same line as somebody, or taking a face-off against somebody, you do get a different perspective. So if that's something that media would like to do, we are definitely open to it. We often also do adult women's skates. Actually, not adult women's skates. We do adult rec skates, both men and women co-ed. And that and the media skate can be done on one of the nights that Courtney feels like the girls have been on the ice enough that week. And so we are very cognizant of their time and the ability to recover too. So it's tough being a full-time athlete and having a full-time job. So sometimes sleep and rest are the last thing on people's minds. But Courtney does a really great job of the odd time canceling a practice. And that's when Stewart just got rocked at the blue line there. I hope both of them are okay. I think that was just a last-minute lack of vision by both of them, that they just ran and collided into each other. Anyways, we will announce our next adult rec skate likely in the next week or so, when Courtney really looks at the New Year's schedule. Courtney is actually heading to Japan in 10 days with Canada's under-18 national team. She's going to be in Japan for 2 weeks. Then, rather than come home and deal with the jet lag for 1 week before we go to China, she's going to go to visit many places in Asia and meet us over in Shenzhen for our games there. So she's actually going to be in Asia for, what did she say this morning? Something like 32 days. So it's going to be a long time. She'll definitely be time adjusted compared to the rest of us by the time we get there. But we are going to miss her. So luckily we have 3 assistant coaches that will step in, and I'm sure, no doubt, be able to impart Courtney's messaging and her philosophy to the team moving forward.
Yeah, and just as many of the players have multiple jobs, so do our coaching staff.
They do. Do you know what our coaches do for jobs? I don't.
Well, I know our coaches coach many teams.
Oh, they do coach many teams. Yeah. In fact, Jim Nyhouse and Courtney share coaching responsibilities with the Oakville Midget AAA team currently, where Jim is actually the head coach and Courtney's the assistant coach. So they do that together. I know that Peter Ainsworth, our other assistant coach, used to coach the Marlies boys organization for a long, long time. This is his first entrance into the women's game. And he's a family friend of Courtney's aunt. And he has really provided an interesting perspective to the girls. I think sometimes when we are in women's hockey for a long time, we tend to forget what else is out there. But he's really brought in an interesting dynamic to our defensive core. And then we have PJ Michael, who actually is a trained nurse. I do know that that's his profession. So he had to step away from nursing for a little while to have a hip replacement. But just today, before we stepped on the ice, was telling us some of his stories of being in the hospital and some of the situations that he was in as a nurse. And I often forget he's kind of one of those hard-nosed hockey guys, but he really has a soft spot. And I know the girls really appreciate that. tend to be able to open up to him. He has a demeanor that just allows for conversation, and he really does care about the individual, which you can tell that that's from his nursing background.
So a question here, Sammy Joe, from Paul Harbridge. So is this rink bigger than our home rink at the MasterCard Center? Sure looks like it on the live stream.
Oh, interesting. I would say it's not bigger than the MasterCard Center.
Yeah, because we're in rink 1 there, so I don't... Maybe it's just the angle that we have. We're used to being closer to the ice with our live stream.
It does look big. So compared to, say, playing in the Oakville rink, or even in Thornhill, it looks bigger than that. I don't know that it's Olympic size. Certainly looks pretty close. I know this week Courtney really wanted to practice on a smaller venue, so we actually switched our practice ice with the Etobicoke Dolphins midget team. So thank you to them for being so accommodating, and they allowed us to practice on rink 4 at the MasterCard Center, which is NHL size rink. So Courtney wanted to practice in small spaces because we often don't get a chance to do that, and then are stuck on the small ice, not knowing what to do, bumping into each other. So we had a great practice on Wednesday night there on the smaller rink, and then Thursday night went back to our big rink. But if this is indeed Olympic size ice, then this works into our favor because this is what we practice on all the time. Although the Inferno have a pretty speedy, fast team, so it might work into their favor as well.
Very true. Yeah, it does look pretty wide from this vantage point. And so building on that question, we've got another from Veronica. Would love to see a game sometime in the future in London, Ontario.
Interesting.
As there are a handful of players from the London area. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I've had multiple conversations with people this year that have indicated that London would be a great place. Who did you say that was? Veronica?
Veronica.
So if Veronica knows who I should talk to, the Devilettes are an incredible organization, girls organization that has been around for a long time. Many of our Furies players have come from there. Probably the best London player that we have had in the past is Mallory DeLuce, and Mallory played for the national team under 22 level, and then I believe played at maybe a Four Nations, but has gone on to become a pilot, a porter, which is very interesting. These girls with all multiple different jobs. But yeah, I would love to get to London, and we were just talking about that. I was actually talking with Dave Barrett, who is our has been helping me with sort of the business side of hockey as a advisor, and he coached at Western University, coached them to a CIS championship. We've been lucky to be able to have him as sort of an advisor to the business side of it, because he works actually at the Ivy School of Business in the MBA program. And he kept saying to me, you know, well, not that I'm biased, but I think that London would be a great a spot to have a game. And I agreed with him, because I think bringing a game to a place like that where it's big enough that we could get a ton of fans, but yet small enough that it is the thing to do, and that we could really pack the arena with hockey fans. And anytime that I've gone to a Knights game, they are true hockey fans. So yeah, if Veronica knows who I should talk to, have them email me at small@thecwhl.com.
Yeah, and the Mustangs too. They've always got a great crowd of students out to come and support games like this. And I think we saw it in Oakville with that outreach game. We had standing space. I mean, we had over 400 people.
Oh, narrowly missed by Turnbull on the right post. I don't think Tylee got to it. I think, let's watch this replay. She was similar play, wide open, right in that dot area. And that's a tough position to counteract as a defenseman, but Tylee got across. I think that Turnbull just hit the outside of the net. We have about a 10-second delay here, so we get to see a little bit later. Luckily in the process, Tylee knocked off the net too, so we got a whistle. Sometimes that's something the goalie is lucky to have happen, and other times it can be quite annoying as a goaltender, because it doesn't allow you to push off the posts when they become unsticky like that. And so you could see there Tylee getting into position with her right leg down and her blocker against the post. When the post is not as sticky and the moorings have come out, it's really hard to get yourself in the right technical position. So people think that a goalie pushes their posts off on purpose, but rarely nowadays does that happen because you want them to be nice and sticky.
So if anyone wants any goalie tips, another reason to reach out to us here today.
I'm going to stop talking just purely goaltending.
No, it's great though. It's very insightful, and you know, it's a tricky position, and so any insight that you can give is, I'm sure, very helpful for our fans.
Patrick, our trainer, Patrick Franny, who is down on the bench with the girls right now, wanted to make sure that on Jack Angela's goal, Mackenzie and Greco got the assists because they didn't credit Greco on the announcement. So I know our staff are very cognizant of our players, making sure that they get the points that they deserve because it isn't always easy for a referee to see it in live time, especially when it's a second pass.
So true, and then it's got to get into Instat and be recorded properly because our great commentators go and pull stats before each game, and I know Nico also has shown all of the game notes that he prepares for each game, and it often takes you know, a full day, 8-9 hours of prep time to really consolidate all the updated stats for each player on both teams to be able to speak to them.
So we did not do that. We did not prep for 8 or 9 hours, just so everybody knows. This is coming to you live. We decided we were going to do this about 2 minutes before airtime. Not sure it's a great decision or not. You guys can let us know on Twitter. Like I said, feel free to listen to us quietly if you like. We're having a blast. I hope that everybody out there is having a blast with us. We got another question on Twitter.
Yes, we do. So with the Canada...
Great. I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. That was a great play by Senna Suzuki, diving down in front of a 2-on-1, stymieing the Calgary Inferno, who I think thought we were going to have a wide open net there. So sorry, go on. I got excited by the play.
Oh, we all love Senna. So with the Canada-USA games coming up in February, how will that affect your lineups for the Furies weekend games? And will there be a cross-promotion at the game in Toronto?
Interesting. Okay, so 2 questions.
That's from Trevor Down.
One is the cross-promotion we would love. I mean, of course, we always love cross-promotion. So we will attempt to have conversations with the Hockey Canada. Sometimes they already have their mindset on what they want to accomplish for the game, but we will try to infiltrate some of our messaging and some of our branding so that all of those fans that go out and watch not only the Toronto game, but there's one in St. Catharines, is that right, or Niagara?
And Detroit, I think.
And Detroit, and so that they all know about the CWHL, because I think it's important. It's an opportunity for Hockey Canada to have a group of fans that are dedicated fans to women's hockey, and if they knew that the Furies played right in the backyard, maybe they would come to our games as well. So we will definitely attempt to do that. Secondly, how will it affect our lineups? It will, well, I mean, I never want our players to not be chosen for a national team, but if ever there was a time, if we could put a good word in with the with Hockey Canada, that Spooner, Nurse, and Fast, you guys already know they're going to play on the national team, so you don't necessarily need to take them to that series. I'm joking. Of course they want to represent their country, but the reality is that between us and Markham, there's a lot of potential players. So there's not only Spooner, Fast, and Nurse, there's Tiley and Howard that are also in the program, and then Markham has a handful as well, including their Olympians, Fortino, LaRock, Stacy, but then there's also Bach and Howie, Erica Howe. So depending on which direction Hockey Canada goes in, one team will be more depleted than the other. So yeah, like I said, I never want our players to not compete with their national team, because that's one of the highest honors as a hockey player you can have. However, it's just unfortunate that it happens to be a weekend that the two Toronto teams are playing, that they are playing in Toronto. So perhaps in the future we can have a conversation with how we can best maximize the same fan base. The same thing happens as well within our own CWHL. Sometimes we forget to have the conversations, and that is, you know, myself as well. We ended up playing many times on the same weekends as the Markham Thunder, and for next season's schedule, I will do my best to attempt to play on different weekends, because I think that we're attracting the same fans. We have a dedicated fan base in the city of Toronto, in the GTA, that are both Markham and Toronto fans, and we're aware of that. And so we want to make sure that you guys can see good hockey at home every weekend and not have to choose between the two games, or go to one game on a Saturday night and one game on a Sunday. So we're aware of those issues, and sometimes it's the little things that I know for myself as a GM, it's been definitely a learning curve, and that some of those things that I hadn't thought about. So if I don't hear from the fans, if I don't hear from you guys, you know, what changes you want to see, what additions you want to see with the Furies, I might never know. Once again, was that Suzuki? Takes a shot right in the knee.
Slow to get up there. Hope she's
that
okay.
Looked like it was right above the knee. Oh gosh. Call the...
Blow the whistle here.
Blow the whistle. That's in a very dangerous position too, where her head is... I know they have to wait for the Furies to touch the puck, but with her head so close to where that slap shot was being taken. Senna's not the kind of player to go down either. I know that Senna has lived with my husband and I in our house for quite some time, and the one thing that she says is that she hates being a goalie. She doesn't know how goaltenders can do it, because she doesn't like getting hit with pucks. And you just saw right there that she's willing to put her body out there, but it hurts, and it looks like it hit a spot where there's just probably no equipment. Do you think it's her knee, or do you think it's her ankle?
I thought it was closer to the knee, but...
Yeah, tough to tell. It looks like Jill Grant is here with us this weekend. She's one of our athletic therapists. We're very fortunate to have 3 of them. Lauren Jukes is back in the GTA. She is 36 weeks pregnant. Thought she was going to get cleared to fly to Toronto. Maybe 30 weeks. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Senna looks to be up. I'm not sure if she looks to be okay, though. She looks to be in a lot of pain.
She does.
Hopefully it's a contusion, and those are never easy, bruises, but hopefully it didn't damage anything permanently, or at least for some time. We had a great game last weekend honoring Senna and the Japanese contribution to women's hockey. We sold Senna Suzuki t-shirts. We had a huge contingent from the Japanese community in the GTA come out to our game. For anybody that tuned in, we tried to make it a real Japanese experience, having the Japanese National Anthem, and really honoring the very first host of the Women's Olympic Hockey Tournament in 1998. Many fans came out just to watch Senna play, and that was really fun to see, that supporting one of their own, and to have some of the programs printed in Japanese was really fun as well.
Yeah, quite a huge crowd. Lots of kids and adults actually waiting afterwards just for Senna to sign all of their gear.
Well, and there's such an undercurrent of various different cultures within the GTA that I think a lot of us are just never exposed to. So that was really neat to see that there's a whole Japanese soccer association in the GTA. There's also a Japanese baseball association as well. A chamber of commerce for Japanese businesses. And all 3 of those we reached out to and were able to get some fans from some of those areas that indicated that this was just a great outing for not only their athletes, but their parents and their friends and family as well. So we want to continue to grow that, make that bigger and better next year. And hopefully we have Senna on the team for many years to come. I know we'll lose her probably at the next Olympics as she'll centralize with Team Japan, but there's still 3 more years until that happens. So hopefully for the next 2 years we have her on the team. And hopefully she's okay. It looks like she's actually gone to the dressing room with the therapist, Jill Grant.
A great opportunity to also say how hard Senna's worked at learning English since playing for the Furies, and really trying to fit in and take advantage of living in Toronto, and really joining into conversations. I think you mentioned more than she's been able to in the past. Her skill level is just really she's taken it to a new level.
Yeah, the first year that she came to the Furies, another Japanese player, Tomomi Kurata, came with her, and the two of them live together. And I think it's harder when you have somebody that speaks your native language that you're with all the time to then learn the local language. And so the next year when Tomomi didn't come back, Senna was kind of on her own. And I think it was difficult initially. I know it was difficult initially, but like I said, she lived with our family, and it was really fun to see my daughter at a young age learn to speak English alongside Senna, and the two of them reading the same books together. And even now, my daughter at 3 and Senna will have conversations that both of them are trying to decipher what the other one are saying. But you're right that she just is more involved in the team now. It's less just nodding as if she kind of gets it, and now she is asking questions and she's contributing and turning into quite a leader as well, which is really nice to see.
And texting in English too, that's not easy.
Sometimes I don't always know what those texts mean, but yes, I sometimes tried to read it with her Japanese accent, and then it kind of makes sense. But yeah, she's an assistant captain on the Japanese national team, so they really rely on her heavily. She's a stay-at-home defenseman, and as a goaltender, that's the best kind of defenseman for us. We really appreciate those, but generally she goes unnoticed in a game because she is a stay-at-home defenseman. So Courtney will often play her with a pinching defenseman, somebody that likes to be a little bit more offensive, knowing that she will always be back there. She's so reliable, and her foot speed in the last couple of years too has really improved to the point where that was a big hit. Melissa Channel on one of the Inferno players. Luckily, no penalty there for us, but the Inferno player is slow to get up. Number 5, which is Kelly Murray. We talked about the Murray sisters earlier. She is laboring a little bit on her bench. She's still standing, but looks to have had the wind maybe knocked out of her as she makes her way to the front of the bench. Still gasping for air a little bit. Those can always take the wind right out of you.
Yeah, and building on the connection in with Japan, tomorrow for the game we've got some other guests that will be joining to take everyone through the game. So Sandra Prusina from Sportsnet will be doing the play-by-play, and then Carla McLeod, obviously a Team Canada alumni and local here in Calgary, not here in Red Deer, but in Calgary. I believe Carla did spend some time coaching out in Japan, so it'll be great to hear some of her insights on tomorrow's game about what it was like over there and what she was able to help with as a seasoned hockey professional in a growing hockey market.
Yeah, I know, having played with Carla for a long time, she the one thing that Senna was telling me about her coaching style was that she never questioned whether they could do something. She expected excellence, and that was really the first time that they had really experienced that. And that's how the Hockey Canada system works, is that you expect great things of yourself and of the people around you. And so the Japanese team has never suffered from being out of shape. I mean, they are one of the fittest teams that I have ever seen train. Senna's fitness levels are incredible. I think she can do like 27 chin-ups. Her cardio is amazing. And what Carla really brought to that team was the ability to fight to really stay in games and be feisty and really play with that more of a Canadian mentality. So we come to the end of the second period. The Furies still lead, which is exciting for us. I just texted our strength and conditioning coach, Jacqueline Gradish, to see if she'll come on air. I don't know if she's going to be able to figure out how to get up here. We also have Team Canada head coach Perry Pern in the building, which we would love to have on air. However, getting him up into our broadcast booth might prove to be a little bit more difficult. But we'll do our best. If not, we'll continue to chat, and maybe somebody will come and show up. And if not, we can certainly answer any of your questions. Can you tell a little story, Katrina? Because I think I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about your favorite hockey moment. And go.
Well, I have many favorite hockey moments. Actually, a lot of them are Olympic hockey moments, so really hard to pick a favorite, to be honest. But I had the good fortune of being able to work for the Vancouver 2010 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. And as a result of that, obviously I had a really busy games time schedule, but at the very last minute after the first intermission, had a chance to actually go in and watch the remainder of the gold medal game for Canada against the US, and was in the building, one of the very few 18,000 people, I believe it was, who was actually in the building to see that golden goal. And I have to say, I've never felt so immediately proud, and I don't think shocked is the right word, because I believe so strongly in our ability to prevail and win, but really just proud of how the team made it happen. And then that sheer excitement of all of the energy in the building, and to a degree that I've never experienced before. It was just so strong, so intimate in that venue, and so visceral that you just felt so many things all at once, all within a second, a moment that happened so quickly with Iginla and Crosby. So yeah, that's definitely one moment, and of course watching the Canadian women's hockey team continuously getting into some really hard-fought games at the Olympic level, and in Sochi prevailing in overtime, and unfortunately in Pyeongchang falling a little bit short in a shootout. So lots of big moments and happy memories, and definitely, you know, makes you appreciate how hard all these individuals work to get to this level, and even more so to be able to perform under the pressure at this level. And I think that's always the hardest to do. So hopefully many more great memories to come, many hockey ones and other sports as well. But, you know, just on a weekly basis, seeing all the young girls come out and watch the Toronto Furies is also quite memorable. I grew up playing in the Etobicoke Dolphins organization, and obviously the CWHL wasn't around back then, and so we didn't have the opportunity to come out and watch all of your Olympic heroes play. And now they do. So I think seeing the connection they have with all the players and how inspired they are to be able to meet them and watch them up close is such a treat to see. So I think we'll take a quick break here as we wait for another guest to join us. Second intermission as the staff here try to look for the winner of Chuck a Puck, a fundraiser here on the ice, trying to get the puck closest to the center dot, and let's see who wins today. We'll be back shortly. All right, we're back here with the Toronto Furies strength and conditioning coach, Jacqueline Gradish. Hi, Jacqueline. Thanks
Hi.
for coming up the stairs to visit us here today, second intermission.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Katrina.
Yeah, always happy to have you join and representing, obviously, with all your great gear. So, let's start there. What does that Maple Leaf mean to you, and where have you come from a career standpoint in joining the Furies this season?
Most definitely. The Maple Leaf to me is just a sense of pride. I was born in Oshawa, and I've always lived around Toronto. Moved overseas and always come back around this area. So from there, after I did move back home, I was fortunate enough to get a position with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I interned with them for 1 year, and then they hired me on as an assistant. So I worked doing their dryland training in the summer for 3 years beyond that. So I was with them for a total of 4 years. I moved from there to the Athlete Training Center, where I still work, and I'm training, again, professional hockey and football players there. And I was, again, fortunate enough to be hired by the Toronto Furies and wear the Maple Leaf once again.
Fantastic, and for many more years, hopefully. And that Athlete Training Center, what a fantastic facility that is.
Yeah, it's a great facility. A few of us train there, but I'd like to say thank you to Journey to Excel. They put up with the Furies, they give us their gym to train there 2 nights a week, and they have for our whole season.
Yeah, we're so grateful, and the facilities there are amazing, and not only do they have a lot of great equipment, but they have a perfect view of the rink, and so I think it's also been a great place for players to be able to watch and engage with what's going on the ice at the same time as doing their workout.
Exactly. There's an amazing hockey culture there, so it's nice to be part of that again.
Fantastic. Can you tell us a bit more about the scope of your role with the Toronto Furies and how you've taken what you've learned and what you've done in previous roles and brought it to this caliber of talent in women's professional hockey?
Most definitely. Well, the scope of what I do is I oversee their workouts, but within that, I write all the different phases of their programming. If someone has injuries, I will help with their post-rehab. We do a bit of a movement and assessment of people who have had injuries and issues, so then they get special programming as well. And we really just run them through the phases. If the girls can make it 4 times a week to work out, great. If they can't, and they can afford two times a week, then that's how their program is written for them.
That's great, and yeah, I know everyone comes from somewhat of a different background on the team, and so how have you been able to ensure that everyone is finding that forward momentum within the personal training that they're doing, but also keeping in tune with the team and what the team's trying to accomplish off the ice?
The one thing is if they're the Olympians and they have a strength coach that they're working with, I'm more apt to work with that strength coach as well, and open up the gym for extra time so that these guys can get into the gym more often. But the overall premise of how I like to run the department is health first, performance second. So make sure everybody is staying healthy, whether that means that they are training 5 days a week, 2 days a week, and have a full-time job where they're working, 40-hour weeks.
Yeah, it's a long day, and I know that, before every practice and every game, they're all there early, and 3 days a week at practice, they come at 8, they're on the ice at just after 9.
They are.
Some of them drive across the city
for
also
from
over an
Kingston
hour.
even.
Right. So, that's, and then they work during the day. So
Exactly.
just kind of connecting all those dots. How do you ensure they all get enough sleep?
Well, we just stay on them and ask about it. Ask if they're tired. You can see different things in different people during their warm-ups. Like, did you sleep last night? Have you had a stressful day at work, home, family? Are you eating? Are you drinking enough water? Just quick little check-ins if something looks a little bit off with one of the girls.
Right.
And if they don't feel up to it that night, I don't mind. Like, hold back a little bit and go for it again tomorrow night. We'll check in again, make sure that you get your sleep, make sure you get hydrated, and then just try a little bit harder the next day.
Right. How have you been able to integrate some sort of new thinking into this role? I mean, I follow you on Instagram, and you're doing a lot of really different styles of training, and you can speak to the actual names of those. But is that more on a personal level that you're trying to understand what's out there so that you can better inform the workouts of the players, or are you really truly looking for different ways to advance their training?
Oh, I just want to be right on the cutting edge and try and get everything into their programming that they need. Strength and conditioning is pretty much a template. It's dealing with the injuries, sometimes the mental aspect, that you have to really look outside of the box and try and integrate different ways. You know, sometimes what the girls think we are doing, like speed work, to me, it's actually a bonding exercise. When they maybe think they're doing their core work, I might be working on their balance or their vestibular system. And they're, you know, as long as everyone's having fun and I know that I'm getting every little piece of the puzzle in there, I feel happy with that.
Right. And then goal setting is a big part of improving and reaching those next levels. So how does that work? Is it a formal process that you usually use, or more informal? And obviously it depends on the individual, but there's on ice and off ice goals, and maybe give us a little bit of a glimpse into your approach from that perspective.
Again, right now we are just approaching the middle of the season, so we are all just starting to get to know each other, and we'll be going over the goals of what they want to achieve by the ending of the season. The team is completely new, it feels like to me, and I'm completely new to them. So right now we're still feeling out where we want to be. So right now still checking in, just little things about nutrition, little things about their workouts. In the summer is when, as myself as a strength coach, I really push them to achieve their goals in the gym. As for the ice training times, I speak with Courtney and Jim and the other ice coaches about that to make sure that the girls are progressing towards their goals on ice.
Right.
Some of them have speed goals, some of them want to gain a little bit of weight. And during the season, it's hard when they are traveling a lot, but it's making sure that they're eating. That's my part, and that's going to help their on-ice goals.
And thank you for that. I know you've been instrumental this weekend and last weekend on those fronts, so thank you
sure
for
they get food.
always putting that first.
Yes.
What would be, you know, if you had a wish list, something that you wish that you could include or implement or leverage or take advantage of in your role with the Furies, and, you know, maybe not necessarily this season, but in the future, you know, given everything that you're focusing in on and being innovative and on the cutting edge, what's something that really interests you?
From the training perspective, I would definitely like to use a velocity-based training system. So far it's been proven to help reduce injury when they're in the gym. So instead of just always loading the bar really heavy, we can monitor their neural fatigue by the speed of the bar. And the other thing that I would love to implement is having a nutritionist on board and really helping with that.
Great. Well, I know a couple of the players have a interest in nutrition and some expertise and experience, so perhaps that's one way to combine their career aspirations with their professional hockey aspirations.
Most definitely. I already have my eye on Emily Fulton, who is my right hand right now, and she's a player on the Toronto Furies, so it's great to have her on the team.
Fantastic. Yeah, such a breadth of experience on the team on all levels, and we're so lucky to have you on the team and here today and taking some time out to join us. And yeah, I guess as the Zamboni gets off the ice, we'll prepare for period number 3, and we're still taking the lead here 2-1 heading into the third. So
I know it's been a great game so far.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Jacqueline.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
we're back here for the third period. How did your interview with Jacqueline go?
It was great. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my headset on right here. Yeah, it's always nice to have another perspective on the work that goes into preparing all of our players and how much thought goes into what she does. And
we're very fortunate to have somebody like her with her acumen, having come from the Maple Leafs. I work out at the Athlete Training Center in Oakville/Mississauga. I'm not actually sure which one that is at, and that's she's my trainer there. And I just loved how she worked with athletes, a lot of the pro hockey players. When I became GM of the Furies, she was actually one of my first hires, because I just felt like that's exactly the mentality we wanted with the Furies. Was it wasn't about training to train. It was about training to not get injured, and it was about training so that they could be the best hockey players on the ice. And I think she really gets that, and I think the players really appreciate that. And while we've had a lot of injuries, the injuries are not overtraining related. And so, I mean, you can't do much about a car accident or a concussion or things like that. So I think she's done a great job of keeping the players healthy and able to play their top game when they come on the ice.
Yeah, and really treating them as individuals and understanding each of their preferences and strengths and
it's
goals.
not easy when there's 25 of them, but she does a great job of managing that. And, you know, some of the onus is on the athlete as well to create that rapport with your trainer and really have the trust that they have your best interest at heart. I know with the national team that was always tough at times, because you're fighting for positions with other people. You want to be in certain situations, but ultimately Jacqueline has a player first mentality that is just really nice to see and nice and refreshing.
Yeah, and she really means it when she says she likes to stay on the cutting edge. She's always trying new things and reading up on different tactics and even perfecting them on her own first. And the amount of times I've seen her do different motions and
on Instagram,
not be satisfied until it's perfect.
She's very prolific on Instagram, so she just learned that a couple years ago. She says that other trainers in the gym are quite young and have taught her how to put stuff on Instagram, but it just really shows you that lots of people know her as a trainer because of her Instagram feed, and she does a great job at that. So back to this third period, I wonder what Courtney said in the dressing room to the players, having not been there, opting instead for a little bathroom break and a quick little snack. It would have been interesting to be a fly on the wall in the dressing room, because we've never been in this position before this season with a 2-1 lead against the Inferno. It looks like a penalty to the Inferno for interference to Decker, which plays into our favor because she's just a threat every time she's on the ice. It doesn't mean you can let up against the Calgary penalty kill, though, because each one of those players can put the puck in the net, and each one of those players can go end to end as well.
It's also nice to see some great female officials on the ice.
I'm sure maybe that would be Hockey Alberta that would be in charge of deciphering who would do these games. A coup to the referees that do get selected, because it's not easy to make it to this level. And each province is responsible for their own referees. And so the Hockey Alberta referees would be sanctioned by their local sanctioning body, which is Hockey Alberta. So Melissa Channel and Renata Fast are the two defensemen on this power play, and both are going to the All-Star game in a couple weeks in Toronto. It'll be fun to watch them against all of the league's best and really represent our team. Fast has been, this is her second year on the team, but it's Channel's rookie season. So kudos to her to make it to the All-Star game in her first season in the CWHL. As a GM, I get to nominate players to the All-Star game, and so the league asks for 8 players that we want and feel like have really made a commitment to the team and been dedicated and skilled players. So it's a combination of a lot of things that go into the selection, and then that is sent to the league, and then the league selects from the 8 players that each team has nominated who is going to be going to the All-Star game. So we were disappointed that we only got 4 because we felt like other players had really played exceptional thus far, including Cheyenne D'Arcangelo, Brittany Howard. We even put Jess Vela on that list because we felt like she had really stepped up as a leader, contributed off the ice to this team for not this year, but for so many years. Traveling all the way from Pickering to make each and every practice is really just a testament to her dedication to this team. So while they did not make the All-Star game, we are proud to say that they are All-Stars in our eyes.
They definitely are. And great job to you, Sammy Jo, in the draft, because I know Nurse and Channel have played together in college for years and have great chemistry on the ice together for us
Nurse
here
went
as well.
hard into the boards there too, but got back up. That's good. Oh, good pickpocket. Oh, that's a tough position to be in. I think she saw the Furies player open down low, but just couldn't get around the puck enough to get a pass across. Balaji, the Inferno goalie, came right out to challenge Spooner and gave her really no net to shoot at. Spooner is, if you've ever been a goaltender against Spooner, her shot is incredibly deceptive, and what she does is she does almost a mini toe tuck before every time she fires the puck. So she changes the point of attack of the shot. So you think you know where it's going. She will move it 2 inches over to the right, and then she has a new angle of attack and creates opening on the goaltender. So if you're ever wondering why she scores so many goals when she looks like she's shooting like everybody else, it's because the goalie actually has no idea where she is shooting. I think you have some questions on Twitter.
We do. We do. So growing up spent a lot of time working at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and it was so nice to see the first year when women were included in that induction, and such a, milestone. And
with Cammie and Angela were the first two.
Angela, yep, exactly. And so a question here from Giants and Crease. The Hockey Hall of Fame has yet to induct a female goalie. So who should the first woman goalie inducted in the Hall of Fame be, and why?
Interesting. Well, first off, hello to Giants in the Crease. I love what you guys do, and I love how much you cover women's hockey and showcase goaltenders from all around the world, which I wish existed back in the day, so that the international community could really know who the strong goaltenders were. But so thank you for doing that in today's day. So who would I think would be the first one? Well, I would have to go to somebody that I played with for a long time, which is probably Kim St. Pierre. I think the Hockey Hall of Fame is really an interesting selection criteria and has a lot to do with numbers, has a lot to do with being good at your position, but not necessarily over a long period of time. So Kim was good at her position over a long period of time. But when she was the top of her game, she was an MVP and an All-Star in various different Olympic and World Championships, and really won big games for Canada. I think when the Hall looks to who they're going to induct, they're looking for difference makers. And that's what I always saw Kim as, was a difference maker. She was a quiet person to play with, a goaltender that was just always very easy to get along with. Never really rocked the boat, but she always worked hard. She was just always doing exactly what the coaches asked, very coachable athlete, and always came up big when it mattered for her team. So not only did she come up huge for Canada at the Olympics, the World Championships, but also for her Montreal team back in the league that predated this one in the NWHL. She played for the Montreal team and was 1 year single-handedly won the national championship for them. I think it was the year after the Olympics in 2002, and she went up against the likes of Team Alberta with Hayley Wickenheiser, Danielle Goyette, Cassie Campbell, Team Ontario with a ton of Olympians on the team. And she got 3 shutouts in 5 games and ended up winning the final 1-0 with something like 50 shots against her. So performances like that, I think, is what the Hall is looking for. If they're looking for longevity in the sport, I think they'll have to wait for somebody like Shannon Zabados, who will be definitely a shoo-in whenever she ends up retiring. But the fact that she still plays, she's had some huge moments as well, winning in Vancouver and then in Sochi, and just really giving her team a chance to win every time she steps on the ice. She'll definitely be a shoo-in. I think it's tough when you start talking internationally, and I know as a goaltender, we were always jealous of other teams that the goalies got to play against Canada, because playing in a situation where you get 50 shots is different than if you're playing in a situation where you get 25 shots but you have to stop each one of them. So I mean, there's been some really great international competitors out there. I think if I was to pick one internationally, it'd probably be Kim Martin from Sweden, who helped them to their first ever silver medal. That was huge for that country, and she played incredible against the U.S. in the bronze medal game to win it. Do I think that she was a better overall goalie than Kim St. Pierre? No, but in that moment, she was the goalie that got them a silver medal, and that's huge for that country and huge for international hockey. So it looks like we have a penalty against the Furies. Did you see it?
I was very enthralled in your story.
I know, sorry. And we lost our play-by-play video, our replay computer that we have on 10 seconds delay. But I saw that it was Jenna Dingledine. She doesn't tend to be a dirty player at all, so I'm sure just inadvertent contact, which is unfortunate, because I know she wants to have a big game here today, and really offensively has provided some offensive talent for the Furies, and has really helped create some scoring chances. But she wants to have a good showing in front of the coaches, who this is her first game back with the Furies, and with all of our injuries, we have as I mentioned before, brought up some players from our extended roster. Last weekend we had Sydney Kidd on the roster, and this weekend we have Jenna. That was Johnston that once again just
top left post there.
Tylee is going to have to really thank her post at the end of this game.
Oh.
There's a lot of pucks that she is not getting to see in front. The Inferno are doing a great job of really blocking up that front of the net, but luckily they just haven't put it past us yet. If we can just get out of this penalty kill, this would be huge for us. The girls look a little bit winded out there and tired. Renata looks like she wants to get off the ice, as Greco just fires the puck out. Smart play by Emma Greco to get Renata to have a line change. And Sarah Nurse finally gets off the ice. So we have some fresh legs. 30 seconds left in this PK. Only 11 minutes left in the game. Great save by Tylee to get across that crease. The shooter for the Inferno should have one-timered that puck. She had the ability there, but took the time and did an extra little stick handle and allowed Tylee to get across. 9 seconds left in this PK for the Furies. Nurse is back out there. She plays a lot of minutes for the Furies.
She does, at the same tempo, always.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, lucky for us to have somebody like her who is so incredibly fit, but also so great defensively as well. So you can use her in so many different scenarios. I don't like all the pucks that are making its way into our slot area, but we're doing a good job of taking the sticks and making sure that they're not getting those second opportunities. I did notice that there was a mention of Nick's Steakhouse for tomorrow after the game by somebody on Twitter. And then Nick's Steakhouse retweeted and said, "Thank you for coming." Well, we haven't come yet, but if you do want us to come, Nick's Steakhouse, you let us know. We're always looking for new places to refuel after the game, and we're looking for new supporters of women's hockey. So as the GM of the team, I am always looking for ways to save money as well. So.
Absolutely, and thank you to all of our current sponsors as well. Really makes a difference. Their belief in the value of women's hockey and of the Toronto Furies, and their commitment to helping in their own way to advance the game.
Yeah, and some sponsors that we've had for several years now. One is the Women of Winter. And the Women of Winter have provided not only monetary funding for our team, but a really great fun tournament that they have every year, which is a recreational adult women's tournament that allows the fans to play with the players. And so not only have they been sponsors financially, but they have provided a ton of fans for us and really built up our game for their clientele. And basically the Women of Winter are a group of women that play hockey downtown Toronto on all of the outdoor rinks all around the city, and then provide unique and interesting travel experiences for women in hockey at the recreational level. So I've had a ton of fun with them over the years, and thankful that they're still involved with our team. We also have National Shunt Services, which out of Cobourg have been a huge supporter of our team as well. And we had a bunch of the Cobourg, it's not Cobourg minor hockey, it was the Wild who came out, some girls from that organization that helped us do the opening ceremonies and celebrated pregame with us and got to skate with the Furies. So that was really fun that National Shunt Services provided that for those girls. They rented a limo for the girls from Cobourg to come in, make the 2-hour trek to Toronto to watch our game, and provide a unique experience for, I believe they were bantam age players. So that was really fun for them, and fun for us too, to get to see the smiling faces. Great save by Tylee. We have potentially a 2-on-1 here. Uh-oh. Howard just took a little bit too long maybe at the end of a shift with that shot. She saw that she had an opening, but that's always tough when you feel like you have so much time, and then at last second the defenseman gets their stick in the way.
Yeah, she had a good angle there. And
that's tough.
And
Darkangelo made a great cross-ice pass there. Sometimes I'm amazed by what they can see on the ice when they have pressure, and I guess that's really the mark of a great player, is what you can do under pressure. Do we have a penalty? It looks like we may, and it might be against our bench. I'll see what's going on here down at the bench level, and you perhaps can try to listen for the announcement, although people back home will be able to hear the announcement better than we will. Our coaches don't look happy right now. Primarily Jim Nyhouse, who oh, maybe he's just trying to figure out on the penalty box who is taking the penalty. Oh, we got a delay of game penalty there. I don't know if that's just late getting to the face-off, perhaps?
Maybe. Everyone seemed to be a bit confused at that call, so.
Right, and it didn't seem like we were taking time. Howard and Darkangelo were already out there, so it's not like we had to have a shift change. And then I'm not sure if it had something to do with the puck. Spooner nursed here almost potentially on a 2-on-0. Oh, great save by Balaji. I don't even know if she had that. She knew she had that puck, but incredible save on Sarah Nurse there. And great play by Spooner to get it across to her. Those two are just so exciting to watch.
Yeah, and great hustle on the board. She outskated the Inferno player and gave themselves that play.
Especially on a PK. Here we have a minute 21 left in this penalty kill. It looks like they have used Jenna Dingledine to serve the penalty. Likely not to use her on the penalty kill, so not a big deal to have her over there, and then she can be the third forward out when it comes time to create some offense. Tylee seems to really have her eyes on the puck tonight. It's great to see. She's had some games this year that I think she would have said herself that she struggled a little bit, but the last couple weeks she's really come into her own and started to play the game at this level. And she is such an incredible goaltender, and who I'm hoping one day will get to play with Canada's senior national team. If only we can get out of this 25 seconds here.
Well, it's tough. There's not many spots as a goalie.
Oh, gosh. Oh. That didn't actually look out from here.
I don't know about that.
Once again, this is a Furies broadcast, so we'll say that was a really great play by the, really great call by the officials. I don't know if it actually
great effort by the Inferno to keep it in the blue line.
It was. I thought Johnston did keep that in, but alas, we have a little bit of a breather and regroup for these last 17 seconds of this power play. What's it like when you're sitting in the penalty box waiting for the penalty to be over?
Your hand is on the lever to make sure that you get there a half a second before you're supposed to.
Right. It must be so daunting, although different for Jenna this time because she didn't create the penalty. But if you are the person that is the reason that your team's on the PK.
Yeah, you want to press fast forward on that time clock.
Well, we got out of that, and we have 5 minutes left in this game. No matter what happens in this game, I've been very impressed with our Furies team sticking together and really trying to get right on the Inferno as soon as they get a puck, especially on a big ice like this, not letting them gain much momentum. Yeah, they've had great chances, but most of them are from setups within our zone, I would say. Not too many 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, those kind of things.
Yeah, and it's nice to see us use our speed as well. So we know it's there, and today I think...
Well, and I think Courtney picked that kind of team because we play on the big ice. And so we went through a lot of changes this year, and some of our players this year, and hopefully in the next few years, thanks to Jacqueline, will really improve their speed and start to really utilize that on the big ice, because that's to our advantage that we get to practice on that all the time. With only 4 minutes left in the game, is there any other questions on Twitter that we want to get to quickly?
Take another look
Once
here.
again, Natalie Spooner on a breakaway. Woo!
What you
Wow! There's my goal celebration right there. Oh, that was almost like a...
That was great.
Oh, wow, 4 minutes to play, Natalie Spooner. That is her typical move. I love it. Cuts one way and comes right across. Annie Belanger couldn't do much. She even got across to the post, knocking it off, just not in time. Spooner's hands are so quick. She can put that puck in the smallest of openings, and she does it once again for the Toronto Furies.
And again, pulling away from that Inferno player to create that breakaway for herself.
Trevor Down asked for some Lexi Hoffmeyer stories this period, which in 4 minutes, sorry Trevor, we probably don't have much time, but another Furies player that lived with my husband and I and was a stalwart with the Toronto Furies for a long time, and maybe the toughest player that we've ever had on our team, somebody that the coach would send on the ice whenever we needed to show some true grit out there. So a question from Nafio. I'm not sure if that's how you say, I follow you on Twitter, so thank you for every tweet that you do about women's hockey, and it's great to have somebody that's so dedicated and passionate as yourself. The question was, Sydney Kidd from the extended roster was on the team last weekend, Jenna this weekend, making her presence felt. How do call-ups work now that players are paid? Do call-ups get paid? Do players not in today's game not get paid? Is there a bonus for that? Assist. I was like, apple. She didn't get any actual apples. But no, so it's basically the GM's prerogative. And how it works in the CWHL is that there is $100,000 provided to player stipend throughout the season. And so I have the ability to do with that as I may. The players that make the actual we have a 24-man roster. Every team is a little bit different. The players that make the actual roster have to be paid a base salary. Your first year base salary in the league is Oh, we're taking a picture. Your first year base salary, I believe, is $2,000. Your second year, $2,500, and your third year, $3,000. So if they have played that amount of years in the league, I have to pay them that no matter what. So once all of that is taken care of for the entire season, then I have some bonus money to delve out as I see fit. I believe that when I paid each of these current players their base salary, we were at about $64,000. And so I do have some leeway there to be able to give players bonuses. Other teams in the past have done bonuses based on events that the players go to. Others have done based on performance, based on awards won. I wanted to do it based on sort of an equal situation that was decided at the start of the year. So each of the players know what their bonus is and will be, and then that's done for the season. So we have a little bit of extra money in that, and currently when we brought up Sydney Kidd, we put Brittany Zubak down on the extended roster, so that means that she is no longer eligible for her base salary if she doesn't continue to be on the full 24-man roster. And that frees up some funds to be able to pay both Kidd and Dingledine for their services as well. So I will have both of them sign a contract, or both of them have signed contracts. If they play half of the season, for instance, they would get half of their base salary. If it's just certain games, then we will do it game-based. But there is a little bit of money there to be able to ensure that their services are paid similarly to other CWHL players, and to let them know that we appreciate that it isn't always easy to come into a team midway through a season, and while they both love playing the sport of hockey, it is a lot for gas money and equipment and all those things, so we want to be able to pay them a little bit of money for their time. This year we also had Carly Campbell on a mat leave, and in other instances those players have not been paid, but I chose to pay Carly because I wanted her to be around the team. I wanted her to be a leader and continue to do that, and I felt like as a women's sports organization it was really important for us to be leaders and showcase that women, despite the fact that we get pregnant and we have different things going on in our lives, are just as valuable and just as important as well. So every team can decide what to do in those situations. Same with injuries as well. My players that are injured are still paid, so I didn't want them to feel like they have to rush back to be able to play. I wanted them to feel like we are in a supportive environment. Ultimately, my ultimate goal for these players on this Furies roster is to make them good people and good, well-rounded people. And that includes being a hockey player, but that also includes being a good teammate and being put in different situations and learning about various different things on and off the ice. And we would just really want to help them grow and help us grow together as an organization. So great question. We have 2 minutes left in the game, in a 3-1 game where the Furies are beating the Inferno. Never count the Inferno out because they have a number of prolific scorers. Great stick by Sarah Nurse. I think sometimes talking for me gets rid of the nerves, so I apologize if I just talk for the next 2 minutes. It'll just pretend like nothing really is happening here. But the Inferno have outshot the Furies 35-21 in this game, which means for a very impressive game from Shea Tiley.
Yeah, and just to build on your answer, Sammy, I think you've always said from the beginning your goal is to help each individual, both on and off the ice, as much as you can. And so I think that's something that you really make a priority with this team, and I think the players know that and appreciate it.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I think it's this game is bigger than just hockey, and these girls will be. I want them to know that they're Furies for the rest of their lives. This is a group of friends that I hope that they stay in contact with and in touch with, and no matter what happens in the hockey world, they can continue to do that. I love that Courtney has put Jess Vela on the ice, Jessie Vela. She is great in these situations, really a defensive player, and willing to put her body at risk. You'll see her jumping and diving all over the ice here.
And as we close out this game, I think maybe important to say quickly that a lot of these players are Canada Games alumni, and it's been an important part of their journey to get to the CWHL here. And as we wrap up in Red Deer, I think hopefully other youth watching will. Oh, there we go. Seals it.
Jess Vela with the big goal. That was a risky play to do that before the blue line, but the fact that we were up by 2 goals already, good for her to take that shot. I just got a text message, quick update from Jacqueline Gradish that indicated that Senna is on the bench and attempting to play. So here she is going out for the final 42 seconds of the game. No broken bones.
That's great to hear.
Probably a really big bruise that is going to require a lot of ice on the bus trip back. But when you, let's say if we win the game, it definitely takes some of that pain away. So for viewers that are viewing tonight, tomorrow, reminder that we have another game at 10:30 Central Time.
Central Time, that's right, in Calgary.
In Calgary. So what is that? 12:30 in Toronto.
Eastern Time.
And so definitely tune in. We will have a proper play-by-play and color. You'll probably miss our stories a little bit, but thank you for tuning in and sharing some of your questions with us. It's made it a really fun game for us. As we close out this game, I'm so impressed with our Toronto Furies here to be able to come out victorious against one of the top teams in the league. This is a big win for us and something that is well needed for the team.
Yeah, and puts us in a great position for the game tomorrow. I think the players will be happy with this, and hopefully will continue.
And a big 2 points that is definitely very needed.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are in Calgary listening, the game is at WinSport. So if you are wanting to come and watch, please do. Hope to see you there.
Definitely pack the stands. This was really fun for, I think, both teams to be able to play in front of a big crowd, lots of minor hockey players, girls hockey players.
Actually, it's over 600 today here.
That's amazing.
Venue, yeah.
That's so great. Yeah, I wonder what this venue holds. This is a fairly big venue. It'll be a great place for Canada Games and perfect size as well. Well, in terms of 3 stars, who would your selections be? I definitely think you have to put Tylee in there. And Spooner and Nurse are always in contention for every single 3 stars that we have.
Yeah.
Dark Angelo had a great goal.
Yeah, good question. There's so many things to think about when you watch a game.
I know, trying to do Twitter, Instagram, 3 stars, get the food for after the game.
True test and multitasking.
The food has arrived, just so everybody is not concerned about our Furies girls. We'll have some food from Freshie on the way home. We will be getting on the bus immediately after the showers and having a quick bite to eat on the hour-and-a-half trip back home. But it's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely, and another thank you to SportsCanada.TV for making this possible, and of course the Leafs as well have been a great supporter of us, and actually
and we have a new law firm on board, Watson Morrison, who are actually sponsoring our adult rec skates, so that'll be great too. So yeah, every little bit helps, and you know, it's not cheap to run a league, nor is it cheap to run an organization, and so the fact that we you know, got jackets this year, and it's the little things that really make a huge difference, and we can't do that without sponsors and funding, and we would have never been in a position here to be able to do that without our amazing sponsors. So they're just announcing the 3 stars. Looks like Casey Bellamy, Renata Fast, which somebody must be a defenseman who's been picking these, because rarely do we get to see defensemen, so that's been pretty amazing. But no Shea Tylee. I think that we're just going to take a picture of ourselves. Perfect. I think those 3 players played an exceptional game, but I do have to say that I think Tylee deserved a star out there. The problem with Tylee is she always looks so calm, cool, and collected that often she's overlooked for that. But
it's true. She made a number of great tough saves
and with
and
shots
kept us
36
in the
to
lead
22. But I mean, the fact that Fast was in there is a true testament to our whole defensive core, and it takes a whole core of players really believing in the defensive system to win that game. So.
Yeah, overall, exciting game for the fans too, and hopefully both teams gain some new fans by playing here in Red Deer.
And thank you for tuning into the first ever Katrina and Sammy Joe podcast. Maybe this is our future endeavor. You have an MBA, I'm an engineer by trade. Like, this is just podcasting.
We can answer any question.
We can do this, exactly. There you go. All right, well, thank you to everybody out there, and hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow.
Thank you so much.